A single drop of water hangs from a splinter of wood. Inside that drop, microscopic yeast cells are consuming sugar. They are not thinking. They are simply converting glucose into energy and excreting a molecule that will one day be called ethanol. This is not yet alcohol. This is a waste product. But somewhere in the deep past, a hominid picks up a fallen fruit, overripe, cracked, warm from the sun. When she brings it to her mouth, something enters her bloodstream that has never entered it before, at least not in this concentration. She does not know it yet, but she has just touched a substance that will reshape human consciousness, civilization, and the structure of society. Most people believe ancient humans deliberately invented alcohol. That is not what happened.
Alcohol found humans long before humans found alcohol. The real story begins with an accident repeated millions of times across hundreds of thousands of years. Fruit falls, fruit breaks open, yeast arrives, sugar becomes ethanol, and a hungry primate eats the evidence. Imagine you are a hominid, roughly 200,000 years ago, Eastern Africa. The dry season is ending. Food is scarce. You find a patch of fallen fruit beneath a tree. Most of it is rotten, soft, bruised, leaking liquid, but you are hungry enough to ignore the smell. You pick up a piece. Juice runs down your fingers. You eat. At first, nothing. Then, a warmth in your chest, a loosening in your limbs, the constant screaming alertness of survival, the fear of predators, the hunger, the vigilance, it softens at the edges. You do not have a word for this, but your brain registers, this is different. This is valuable. You are not an alcoholic. There is no such thing yet. You are simply a primate who stumbled upon a chemical shortcut to relief. And relief, in a world of starvation and predation, is worth repeating.
Here is the unsettling truth the research suggests. Alcohol did not need to be discovered. It was unavoidable. Every wild fruit that ripens past its peak becomes a fermentation vessel. For millions of years, every fruit-eating animal has consumed ethanol accidentally. But humans are different. We have a mutation. Around 10 million years ago, our ancestors developed an enzyme that breaks down alcohol 40 times faster than earlier versions. Why? One leading hypothesis: our ancestors spent more time on the ground, eating fallen, fermented fruit. Those who could tolerate the toxins survived better. The mutation did not appear because we drank. It appeared by chance, and then drinking became possible. This is the uncomfortable truth. Evolution did not design us to seek alcohol. Evolution simply removed the barrier against it. And then alcohol did the rest. Over thousands of generations, this created a neurological feedback loop. The brain's reward system, the same system that rewards you for eating sugar or having sex, began to anticipate the ethanol hit. Not as a drug, as food, as safety. This is the quiet horror the history books leave out. Alcohol was not a discovery. Alcohol was a hijacking. We did not choose this relationship. It chose us.
Most people assume agriculture came first, then beer. Archaeological evidence suggests the reverse might be true. At sites like Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey, 11,000 years old, researchers found massive stone enclosures and evidence of large-scale cereal processing. But the cereals were not processed into bread. They were processed into mashes, wet, warm, left to sit. Residue analysis shows markers of beer brewing. Here is the revelation most documentaries avoid. The first farmers may not have been growing grain for food. They may have been growing grain for alcohol. Think about the psychology of that.
You are a hunter-gatherer who has tasted fermented fruit for thousands of years. But fruit is seasonal, unreliable. Grain, on the other hand, can be sprouted, mashed, and left to ferment deliberately. The leap from accidental fermentation to intentional brewing is not a leap of science. It is a leap of desire. Someone, somewhere, watched a puddle of mashed grain bubble. They smelled it. The same smell as that fallen fruit from childhood. They tasted it, and they felt that warmth again. That person did not invent beer. That person surrendered to a relationship that had already been written into their neurochemistry for 10 million years.
Here is the question that haunts evolutionary biologists. If alcohol impairs coordination and increases risk of injury, why did natural selection not eliminate the desire for it? The answer is uncomfortable, because the same molecule that intoxicates you also increases social bonding. In low doses, alcohol reduces anxiety, lowers social inhibition, and facilitates group cohesion. In tribal environments, a shared drinking ritual strengthened alliances and reduced internal violence. The cost? A few drunk individuals falling was outweighed by the benefit, a tribe that trusted each other more. Alcohol was not a bug in human software. It was a feature, a chemical lever that evolution accidentally installed and then kept because it made groups slightly more functional. The horror is this: we do not drink because we are weak. We drink because our ancestors survived by drinking. The pattern was set before history began, before laws, before shame. Now consider what this means for consciousness. The human mind, the thing you believe makes you rational and in control, is not the master of its own desires. You did not choose to find alcohol rewarding. Your ancestors' neurochemistry chose for you over millions of years before you existed. Every time you feel the pull toward a drink, the soft relief, the loosening of the knot in your chest, you are not experiencing a personal weakness. You are experiencing a ghost. The ghost of a hominid 200,000 years ago, sitting beneath a tree, eating rotten fruit, and feeling for the first time in weeks that the world was not entirely terrifying. That moment was not a mistake. It was an accident that became a habit that became a craving that became civilization. Because civilization, cities, laws, trade, art, emerged from sedentary agricultural societies. And those societies, the evidence increasingly suggests, were built on beer.
Today, alcohol is a $1.6 trillion global industry. We tell ourselves we drink for taste, for tradition, for celebration. But the ancient machinery underneath does not care about your reasons. The same dopamine neurons that fired in that hominid's brain fire in yours. The same GABA receptors that sedated her anxiety sedate yours. You are not modern. You are a primate wearing clothes, drinking a chemical that a fungus invented to poison other microbes. And here is the final disturbing truth. Alcohol was never discovered. It infiltrated. One spore at a time, one fallen fruit, one accidental sip. Over 10 million years, a waste product from a single-celled organism rewired the reward system of an entire species. We do not control this relationship. We merely negotiate the terms of our surrender. Outside, right now, somewhere in the world, a piece of fruit is falling from a tree. It lands in soil. Its skin splits. Wild yeast, invisible, ancient, patient, begins to feed. Only one species will look at that puddle and see not rot, but relief. Not poison, but purpose.
and that species still does not fully understand why. The answer is not in a laboratory. It is in a drop of water hanging from a splinter of wood 200,000 years ago. A drop that contained no intention, only a waste product, only a ghost.